of my time. Thank you.
I'll now recognize myself for questions. And I know this question's been asked, but I want to ask it again for the record. How many federal employees are currently teleworking?
So, Congressman, we have 46% under OPM's most recent telework data.
46% of the federal workforce. What was that number before COVID?
So the number before, I'd have to go back and look at the specific reports, Congressman. I think the thing that changed is that a higher percentage of the people who are eligible to telework are now teleworking than were before COVID.
Would it be somewhere around 17% before COVID or 20% before COVID, roughly, ballpark?
Congressman, I'd have to go back, but Mr. Chairman, for sure, the telework participation is at a higher level now than it was prior to the pandemic.
How current is that data where you say 46%?
So that data is based on the OPM telework report, annual telework report that we produced in December of 23, which is based on 2022 data.
Okay. So more than double, maybe more than double of the number of federal employees are teleworking since COVID currently. Now, how many days a week are federal employees teleworking?
It's a range, Congressman. It can go anywhere from occasionally and situationally, where you don't have any specific scheduled telework day, to sometimes people have a certain number of telework days. The maximum would be 4 a week.
What specific benefits has OPM observed related to increased union membership in federal agencies?
So my understanding is that the union members, the membership of federal unions has gone up over the last several years.
Since COVID.
The union membership has gone up since COVID. I haven't drawn that causal connection, but I think probably given where the data has been, that it has increased.
So I'd like to read a quote to you. Quote, complex rules and procedures have undermined confidence in the merit system. Many managers and personnel officers complain that the existing procedures intended to ensure merit and protect against arbitrary actions have too often become the refuge of the incompetent employee. It is the dedicated and competent employee who must increase his workload. The morale of even the best motivated employee is bound to suffer under such a system, end quote. That is from the Senate report to the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978. That's 6 years after I was born. I'm 51 now. So, but that could easily have been written in the present day. In the 2023 Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, 41% of respondents said poor performers remained in the work unit and continued to underperform. In previous years, as few as 28% of respondents said that steps were taken to deal with a poor performer who cannot or will not improve. A GAO recommendation from 2018 saying OPM needed to ensure agencies have tools to effectively address misconduct remains open. So what is OPM doing to know exactly how well the system is or is not working, and what is it doing to ensure that the civil service is working diligently and impartially regardless of who is in the Oval Office?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. And every civil servant has an obligation to put the mission first and work on behalf of the
what specifically
American people.
are you doing?
So these are the things that we've done. Number one, we issue guidance to agencies to remind them about how they can make effective use of probationary periods. That's the period at the beginning of a person's career.
And what's the length of that probation?
It can be 1 year, it can be 2 years. It kind of depends on different jobs. That's why we offered free.
And you know, with a teacher, it's 5 years. But with a federal employee, it's as little as 1 year, maybe even 6 months, perhaps. But I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not. My parents are both school teachers, but
My mom was a school teacher.
Yeah. Other things that we've done is provided free training to managers and supervisors across government on thriving in a hybrid work environment. This focused on included a focus on performance management for teleworkers. We offer robust training to our executives and supervisors through our Federal Executive Institute training program.
So here's a frustration from our side of the aisle. We don't think you know an exact number of people who are teleworking. Now, you say it's 46%, but you knew that was going to be a major topic of this committee hearing. And we get complaints from federal employees. We communicate with federal employees. We represent federal employees. And the federal employees who have to go to work every day and do the work have this sneaky suspicion that a lot of these teleworkers aren't working as hard as they are. So the morale in the federal workforce among the hardworking employees who are going to work every day is pretty high. And, you know, we have the legislation in this committee that I sponsored that I believe the Mayor Bowser has even publicly supported, called the Show Up Act, to try to get the teleworking numbers back to pre-pandemic levels. Now, if you can provide some data that will prove that this is more efficient, like my friends on the other side of the aisle keep claiming, then we would support that. If you can prove to us it's more efficient. But the problem is we all have caseworkers, and our caseworkers say it's gotten significantly harder to get people on the phone at every government agency since COVID, and we believe one of the reasons is because of excessive telework. If telework can save the taxpayers money, and if teleworkers are as efficient as people who have to go to work every day and work hard in the office every day, then I would support that. And I think most of my colleagues would support that. We would start liquidating some office buildings in Washington, D.C., where you could maybe have affordable housing or private development or things like that. But you don't have the data. And we've been begging for data. How many employees are teleworking? And is this a better deal for the taxpayers? Not is it a better deal for the teleworkers. We know the answer to that. It's a lot better deal for the teleworkers. We want to know about the taxpayers. That's who we're concerned about on this side of the aisle. So we will keep hounding you until we get that answer.